everyone. It's the Mountaineers Now postgame show. I'm Schuyler, Callihan. Joined with me is Christopher Hall. West Virginia is bounced out of the Big 12 Conference Tournament, falling to Kansas 78-61. And it was another game that West Virginia just kind of struggled to get going offensively, and they never really could figure anything out. Some of that may have been from the legs of last night, while Kansas had a free night off, or a free night beforehand. So before we dive into more of it, let's go ahead and look at the numbers. Jalen Wilson leading the way for Kansas with 22 points on 9 of 17 shooting. He also dished out 11 assists. DeJuan Harris pretty much did a little bit of everything in this one, 13, 8, and 4. Trey Mitchell had probably the most balanced outing, I would say, for West Virginia, going for 11 and 7. And for me, this one really kind of leans on two things. The three-point shooting for West Virginia, which is just really bad, 4 of 19, and the 7 of 11 from the free throw line. We knew that West Virginia, to win this game and to win a lot of their games, they have to get to the line. There wasn't a lot of fouls in this game either way, but still, only 11 trips to the line. You only get 7 of them. And second chance points, that was probably another big one that we're going to talk about here. So 13 second chance points at the half, I believe. Not sure what they finished with, but Chris, just I guess your thoughts on this one, and did it kind of go as you expected it to?
Yeah, Kansas is good. Kind of what you expect when you go against a team that has 2 first-round draft picks on their roster. I mean, what can you really do? They shot over 60% in the second half, and that was just kind of it. I mean, they're a great defensive team. They're a really good offensive team, and they showcased it in the opening round. If you're a Kansas fan or the coaching staff, you wanted them to come out, play with intensity in that opening round, because it's going to be a grind the next 2 games, and you want them prepared for the NCAA tournament. So, from a Kansas perspective, they came out, played well, took a lot of West Virginia's punches throughout the game, even though they kind of, Kansas jumped out to that lead. West Virginia came right back. Just kind of playing out how that game in Lawrence was. But West Virginia just couldn't make their shots, and that may be just tired. And I credit probably more of it just to credit to Kansas's defense, probably more than anything.
Yeah, Eric Stevenson got in a little bit of foul trouble in this one. He had 2 fouls in the first half. He picked up his third early in the second half and took a seat next to Huggins there for a little while. Just never got going in this one. He finished the night with, 6 of 14 shooting, 1 of 7 from 3, 13 points. He did make some shots, but again, the inability to get going from 3, that's his mojo. When he starts seeing those shots go down, his confidence goes up a little bit. And I think it spreads throughout the team too. It never really got to that point. I mean, do you just pretty much blame playing last night as a big reason why he wasn't himself today?
No, it's Kansas. They are so fast, and they just stay in front of him. He didn't have any room to run. It's just, it looks bad today because they played well last night. It's not that they played bad today. It's just a matter of competition. Again, this team has 2 first-round draft picks on that roster. Like, that's huge. They're all conference. All of them at one point made an all conference somewhere in the year. Some of them are going to be all American. Jalen Wilson proved why he's the Big 12 Player of the Year. Like, that's just a really good Kansas team. If they were in any other conference, they probably only have 2 losses on the year. That to me is the best team in the country. They are missing the big. KJ Adams is playing really well right now. He's not a typical Kansas big. We talked about that last night. This is a really good Kansas team. Everyone can score. They showcase that. So, I mean, this is just a good Kansas team. It's not a knock on West Virginia. This wasn't a team that they went out and got a bunch of high-profile transfers. They've had to come together at the end of the year. Kansas has been playing like this all season long, and they proved it. They probably had something to prove after the last game, only winning by 2. So, and with Bill Self-Help, that's just credit to their staff for keeping them motivated during that time. And really, to me, this was just all about Kansas, not about West Virginia having to play less than 24 hours or anything else. It's just a really good case.
Yeah, Bill Self, as you mentioned, wasn't able to be there for this game. He has been hospitalized dealing with an illness. I'm not sure if that ever got cleared up. I know there were some rumors and reports that it may have been a heart attack. It may not have been. I'm not really sure. I haven't really looked into it since earlier this morning, but thoughts and prayers are out to him, and hopefully he gets back soon. I know he and Huggins have a really good relationship, and even though Hasn't won many of these games against Kansas or against Bill Self. Not a lot of people do. And I think that's kind of the one thing about this that you have to take out of this as a West Virginia fan is look, even though Bill Self wasn't there, this is an extremely talented team. Regardless of who's coaching them, they're still going to play well. They always play well in this tournament. They travel well. Well, they don't really have to travel that far, their fan base, because it's really in their backyard. But this is a tough task for them. And I think when we get out of this tournament, we go into the big NCAA tournament here in the next week, we're going to see, I think the Big 12 is going to do really well. And we'll probably talk about this on our tournament show. But I mean, the Big 12, you just beat each other up all year long. And it's going to knock some of those teams out, like in Oklahoma State, who's kind of on the bubble right now. Oklahoma, if you put them in any other league, they're probably a bubble team that ends up making it. Like there's just a lot of different variants that go into all of this. And I think for West Virginia, they're a team, we've talked about it all year. Eric Stevenson talked about it, that you put them in the ACC, they're probably in the top three of that league. And I think we're going to see that next week when the tournament starts, just how much better this league is compared to other teams. And some of it's going to come down to matchups, of course. But how big will this be for West Virginia to just get out of Big 12 conference play and start playing somebody else that they haven't seen before, they have no familiarity with? And do you feel like because of that, they may actually go deeper into this tournament than people think?
The jury's going to be out on this one for a little bit. You come out of a physical league, you see it in the Big East. Back in the day, you come out
Oh,
of
yeah.
the league and then every bump and everything starts to be called. You have to kind of make adjustments on the fly. So there's going to be a lot of in it. I'm sure there is a sense of relief, but it depends on where they're seated. They could face another Power Five opponent, which you probably feel a little bit more comfortable than facing maybe a George Mason, Siena, or whoever, one of those mid majors that's going to 100% be ready to play and be happy to knock off West Virginia in a Hall of Fame coach. So a lot of that has to factor into it. So they may be in a spot. Well, hey, they may just play NC State or something. So
Yeah.
that could be a benefit. And then again, they could overlook them. So you would hate to think that this group, after February, where they overlooked TCU at TCU and overlooked Texas Tech in Morgantown, both were losses. I think that is a big concern still. Even though this is a supposedly veteran group, they still did that in February. But they may look at a ACC opponent in the first round or Big Ten as inferior, or they may not have to dive after loose balls. And all of a sudden they're scrambling in the second half. So mental. It's all mental at this point. They've shown that they're capable of making a run. They've shown that the score ended up being lopsided today, but they've shown that they can compete at a high level. Make a couple more shots at that game, it probably turns out differently. So, and they've shown they can do that. So we'll see. You mentioned it's matchup. So much of it's matchup. They may end up against a 7-footer in the first. What if they end up
Oh,
against Duke?
yeah.
What if against Duke in the first round? They got a really good, smooth 7-footer down there. So yeah, you'd like to think West Virginia is more than capable of making a nice little run here, but we'll see. It's been a long, grueling season. Guys got to get healthy. Jimmy needs to get his legs back somehow. Definitely need Jimmy back, full health. Key came out of this okay. Trey, go down the list. Stevenson, I know got a little banged up there. Um, be nice to see those guys get some rest throughout the week. Kind of just do a lot of mental preparedness, not so much X's and O's on the court. Just get them ready, mentally ready, fired up wherever they are, and just a lot of film, get their legs back.
Yeah, they'll have about a week or so. I believe the tournament starts a week from today. So they may play today, or a week from today. They may play next Friday. So they'll have time to get their legs back. And we've talked about it many times before. Like this is Trey Mitchell, or not Trey Mitchell, TD Johnson, Eric Stevenson, those types of guys, Emmett Matthews. This is their last chance. And for Eric Stevenson, this is his only chance at playing the NCAA tournament. So maybe that energy goes up just a little bit, especially with having a week off, to finally kind of sit back and get your body back a little bit. But we'll see if they do make a run. They're going to go through a very tough path because we're probably going to see them land at an 8 or 9, maybe 10 seed. So you're probably going to be playing a team very relative to you. And then if you win that game, you're going to play either the 1 or 2 seed. So it's not going to be an easy path by any means. but we've seen it every year. There's an 8 or 9 team or a 7 or 10 seed that upsets a 1 or 2 seed in the second round. Happens all the time. It's not a rarity by any means. So West Virginia's got the talent. They've got the experience. The experience hasn't played much together, but they do have that veteran lead or presence on this roster that can go out there and maybe beat and upset a number 1 or 2 that hasn't played a lot of basketball together. So we'll see.
So I give them. It won't be Kansas.
Yeah, it won't be Kansas, and I think Bob Huggins is probably the same. Thank God.
If it's not Kansas, pretty much if it's not Kansas, I give them
maybe
a much better chance to beat anybody in the country. If it's Houston, anybody. We put West Virginia up against anybody except Kansas. Kansas, to me, they are the best team in the country, and I think they'll end up proving.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel like when we do our tournament bracket show, I'm probably going to pick Kansas because that's already in my head already. But yeah, they're ultra talented. They're uber good. I mean, there's not much else to say about it. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Baylor tomorrow. But again, I've been wrong already in this
Baylor.
bracket. Yeah. They're not Baylor. I mean, Iowa State. I got Baylor in my head because I picked Baylor. But yeah.
You were real confident about that pick too.
I've been so confident about a million picks, and we've seen how that turned out. So I don't know. I want to rip my brackets to shreds in a couple of weeks, or not even a couple of weeks. It'll be next week, and I'll be ripping them up because I'll have 5 games.
Thursday night.
Yep, pretty much.
That's my prediction. On your prediction is you'll be done by Thursday night.
I mean, I won't be surprised. So we'll see what happens with West Virginia, where they end up. Selection Sunday is at 6 o'clock. It's on CBS. We'll have a Selection Sunday and/or Monday show. We'll have to figure that out, and then we'll make our picks for our bracket too. So be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Again, West Virginia falling 78-61 in the quarterfinals of the Big 12 tournament to Kansas. They will move on to play Iowa State tomorrow in the semifinals. So until Sunday and/or Monday, for Christopher Hall, I'm Schuyler Callihan. You've been watching the Mountaineers Now postgame show. Click that subscribe button on YouTube and hit that follow button on Twitter at Mountaineers Now. We'll talk to you guys here in a couple of days. Take care.